already started. So yeah, I'm going to do a little background, bombard you guys with a lot of data and try and make it visual, and then we'll have a quick summary. So my background, in my teenage years and my 20s, I had occasional mental health challenges, which kind of affected me in the future and made me interested in this topic. And I also know students, friends, family members who are struggling at the moment. So in terms of a slightly broader kind of global background of mental health, the number of mental health problems in children and young people is high, unfortunately. I'll skip on to the third point here. For 15 to 29-year-olds, suicide is the second leading cause of death, according to the WHO. And each year, 20% of children and adolescents will have some kind of challenge. And then to a more specific Japanese background. Japan has had a long and complex relationship with suicide, as most of us here will understand. Among adults, it's been decreasing in recent years, but still for high school students, there's been over 200 deaths every year for the last decade or so. And in 2018, it was the leading cause of death for adolescents between the ages of 10 and 19. So the aims of my study and of today's presentation really is to give students a bit more knowledge and support options through some of us, hopefully. Also, of course, to inform further research in the field on my own, for myself. See if there's any immediate steps we can take to make a difference, and of course to try to help remove the stigma and help some people. So onto my methods. It was a voluntary online questionnaire, accessible on the students' smartphones using Google Forms. It was in Japanese and English, so it was all very easy to use, I hope. And I got a total of 156 respondents. As you can see, the blue and the red make up the majority, which is the first and second grade students, and then a few third and fourth grade students in there as well. So among the participants, 20 students of the 156, or what, 15.6% of them reported having had some mental health issues at some point. 28 students, or 18%, said I'm not sure, and the rest of them answered no. And at the bottom you can see some of the most common issues: anxiety, low self-esteem, depression, poor body image, even addiction, thoughts of suicide, and anger as well. So of the 20 students who had experienced some mental health issues, this is the support they received, the top mentions. So the column on the left, you can see the numbers. The most common form of support was from a friend, followed by parents, partners, and then what I was kind of worried about was no one, or I didn't want any support. And then mental health professionals, school counselors. So this is ease of communication. The top bar is how comfortable those students were talking to their family about their issues. And the second bar is how comfortable they were talking to their friends. So on the left, the blue is very difficult. So slightly easier to talk to their friends, but still overall, I think it's obviously quite difficult for them to talk about it. But the next communication section, regarding talking about the mental health of others, students appear more open to this, which gives me more hope that we can start talking about this more. And at the bottom of the 6 students who had experience with a mental health professional, they all had good experiences, or very good. So some positive stuff there. There is, of course, an effect because of COVID-19. The top bar is just the pandemic in general. How has it negatively affected your mental health? and studying online, the bottom bar. How has that affected your mental health? So the majority of the students have all been affected in some way. So then onto a more kind of taking a step back to a broader perspective, have the students health education? 15% said yes, 22% said no, sorry, 22% said I can't remember, and 63% said no, which is not the kind of numbers I was wanting to hear. And then this is kind of the big one specific to my institution, IH University. The blue section represents students who do know what services are available. Only 33% and 67% don't know what is available for them if they do have any challenges. So taking another step back to attitudes in Japan in general. On the left, do you think mental health is discussed enough in Japanese schools and universities? 84%, no. And on the right, in Japanese society in general, even more, 87% don't think so. So what can we do? This is where we get to be a bit more positive. But I'd like you guys to think, in your institutions, can you answer these 3 questions? Do you know the name of the school counselors at your institution? Do you know where their office is? Do you know when they're available? You know, a year or 2 ago, I didn't know this either. But I feel like we all should know that, right? Where can the students get this information? So what else can we do? Know the facts, as I hinted at in the last slide. And be aware. Like, are you really aware? How are your students doing? Are they just surviving or are they thriving? Be human. Show your human side. Try to step out of the teacher-student relationship a little bit and kind of engage them on the same level. And of course, discuss the issue. One example is World Mental Health Day, which is run by the WHO and is on October the 10th every year. So, summary, conclusions. There may be more students dealing with mental health issues than we thought. Students have had some positive experiences with professionals, but very often they don't know what, where, who, some of this basic information that could really make drastic changes to their lives. And I think it's clear that in Japan, there is still a lot of stigma attached to this topic that we can try and help get rid of, right? There was some limitations to the study, of course. The size and scope is, of course, very limited. I noticed a lot of improvements that could be implemented in my questionnaire. Despite my pleas and best efforts, some students didn't take it too seriously, like what negatively affects your mental health. You know, cold weather. I mean, I get it, but you know, what else? Okay, there's my references. And yeah, please feel free to fire away with any questions.